Hey everybody, it's me, Root Beer, and I saw this tweet from Different Fight that's talking about how we don't seem to have any triple R generics in DZBT4, and the broad reaction to that has been positive, actually. Like, a lot of people really don't like the concept of triple R generics anymore, and I thought this was interesting, so we should talk about it a little bit. So, broadly speaking, I am in favor of generic cards, right? Like, if you've watched the podcast in the past, I'm pretty sure we've expressed this opinion. The benefit of consolidating from, like, 24 clans into 5 nations is that, you know, the nation cards can be a little broader, a little more generic, and can support, like, a wider suite of decks. So if you're playing an older archetype that hasn't gotten any direct support in a while, a new generic card can help bolster your deck a little bit. It's also useful for, like, new archetypes that maybe aren't fully formed yet because they're on their first wave. So, like, Impaldio, the Brantgate Destined one that got revealed this week at the time of recording this video, like, even though I've basically put every single card that was revealed to directly support the deck, still is not enough to really fill it out, so I'm also having to play things like Valtrosa, Persona, the Energy Cyclers, and Bulbul Mines to kind of fill things out, and quite frankly, I could maybe even cut the grade 1s because they're not that good. But, you know, the point stands that, like, yeah, as it currently is, there isn't a ton of direct archetypal support for Impaldio. You know, it's gonna need a second wave, so having a good list of generics is a way to, like, fill out this deck so that it's, you know, playable. However, the flip side of that is when generic engines become so powerful, they begin to kind of overshadow the deck. So, the other thing revealed this week at the time of recording is Alden. So, he kind of has a unique ability where when you're calling a unit to something that already has a unit on it, so you're calling over another card, with his abilities, you can then, like, return the other card to the hand instead of retiring it. And this really got me because I like old school Bermuda Triangle. I'm sure you all know this by now. I really like bouncing cards to hand, and so new Alden playing in a very similar way has me very interested in it. But also, like, the first response that I got to my initial draft is to just say, oh, don't play the new order, even though it, like, leans into the unique mechanic of bouncing, because the package of Taithfault, Sergawon, and Wisdom is just better, and it's like, ah, man, like, that's so boring. Like, I get it. Like, the combo is like a +3, you know, Wisdom draws you 2 cards, and then Taithfault can search another one. Sergawon isn't a plus, it, like, but it still, like, filters your deck. So it's like, alright, I get it. These are good cards, but, like, I want to play with the bouncing stuff, you know? That's, like, the cool thing that got me interested in the deck. If I'm just playing another Keter pile, why don't I just stick to, like, Rezile or whatever, right? And, of course, the other reason why people really don't like generic cards these days is, you know, this. Yeah, like, all the good ones are, like, $20+. You know, here's, like, the Cyclers from set 1. All of them are over 20 except for the Lyrical one, and that could easily change with new Lyrical support. You know, like, it's just unaffordable these days. So, obviously, like other people are saying, like, an easy solution to this is to just make it so that strong generic cards aren't above the double R slot. You know, I think a lot of double R cards have felt like filler recently. Like, I can't stop thinking about this particular card from DBT 12. Like, obviously, I'm never beating the anime waifu allegation, so I'm just going to admit that I do like the waifu art. But also, like, it does kind of have a utility that Keter Sanctuary could use. Like, choose one of your opponent's rear guard and put it on the bottom of their deck. Cool. Also, they can draw a card for some reason, and it's like, why? This is a double R. This is supposed to be, like, a high rarity card. Hell, if you pay attention to, like, case ratios, double Rs have the same ratio as triple Rs. There's, like, not a lot of reasons for cards like this to be printed, but they just, like, keep doing that, right? Where they just have these double Rs with really, like, weird, niche utilities that don't see a lot of play, or just have like really weird downsides that they don't have to have. And then for the actual like good cards that you want to be playing, that like every deck actually can use, you know, they're all triple Rs that are also like low ratio, and so they all end up being super expensive. And it's really annoying because it feels like Bushiroad almost figured it out for set 1 Fated Clash, because we did actually have a few interesting cards, like a Warrior's Rest that gives you some like extra power and can like maybe draw you a card, or like the Special Order that's like another advantage card for Dragon Empire, and then there are also just like a few kind of interesting commons in this set. You know, I think there was a dragon that was like, on attack, Energy Blast 4 and draw a card, right? And that's like pretty good. It's not like good enough to beat out a good archetypal card, but it's like decent enough, right? And we did do an episode talking about like generic cards. Here it is, Prosperous Dragon. Like when it attacks a Vanguard, if you have 4 or more units, Energy Blast 4, draw. So I think Matt pointed it out that like when we were talking about generic cards last time, that you want a generic card that's like good enough to see play, but then when you get like stronger archetypal cards could be replaced. And so a card like Prosperous Dragon here kind of fits that bill, where like, yeah, if you have a deck that's not really doing anything better, like Energy Blast 4 to draw a card is not terrible, especially if you're playing a deck that doesn't otherwise use energy for anything. But like once you do get those better archetypal cards, it's something that you can easily cut, right? And so I do wish Bushiroad would kind of lean into that a little bit more with like stronger low rarity cards. It sucks that for a long time we would just get like, here's the 20th common that says power plus 5,000 for some reason. And of course, the other thing they could potentially do to like alleviate some of these problems is to just fix their set ratios. So if you didn't know, like I've heard some rumors from like 50 cards specifically, if you're following him on Twitter, that like they're going to be increasing the price of cases soon. So apparently they're probably going to cost a little more for a case, but he's also heard some rumors that like maybe this will come with like an increase in the number of boxes per case. So that could like change the ratios positively so that cards become more affordable. The other thing is like better reprint policy, so reprinting cards more frequently and at like different rarities so that the reprints aren't also the same price as the original. Like they've sort of done that. Like I think Festival Booster has done a pretty decent job of like changing the price on cards. So like older stuff like Falcratia, Yuika, Prison Dragon, like those are a lot lower than they used to be. Like Sajas is another one. So like better reprint policy is another avenue towards like making the game accessible, particularly things like the recently released Dual Nation cards, which I doubt they're going to do anytime soon, but it'll be nice to see. The Cyclers, honestly, I think we are actually far enough away from them that those could see a reprint. Also, just like lower rarity cards that can like fill similar utilities, or like stronger archetypal cards that can help like make up early advantage or help you make early pressure, you know? I had said earlier, probably the best way to deal with the generic problems is to make like stronger archetypal support. So there's a lot of ways that Bushiroad can deal with this problem, and hopefully sooner rather than later something will change about the way Bushiroad designs cards. You know, I think like something like the Cyclers could afford to be like double Rs, especially if the rumored like increased box ratio is true. Like maybe we will see double Rs and triple Rs having a meaningful difference in their ratios again. And it means that like the double R slot can be more available and more useful for like generic cards, but we shall see. So yeah, I think that's all I had to say about this topic. I hope Bushiroad does go back to the set 1 design philosophy where they were embracing like more interesting low rarity cards. Otherwise, I hope that the rumored set changes will result in better ratios, so cards are just more available, so that even if they do continue printing like weird, fucked up generic triple Rs, that they will at least be a little more affordable so people don't have to drop $200 to play their favorite deck. Anyways, I digress. That's gonna be it for this video. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye-bye!